on, Wolfpack Nation? We are back for part 2 of our NC State wrestling season recap / kind of getting ready for next season as well. We are so excited here again. We got myself, Layton Smith, here with Nigel Jones, former NC State wrestler, the NCAA qualifier, the 165 pounds. And if you haven't checked out part 1 yet, make sure to go do that first and foremost. Then come right back here so that way you can continue with this conversation here. So we kind of picked up or kind of left off at the 125 and kind of got sidetracked there with the Spencer Lee thing, which, I mean, again, if you're talking NC State, if you're talking wrestling, you got to talk about the Spencer Lee just because of how huge of a moment that was. But now kind of talking about the biggest thing for NC State wrestling, which is what is Pop going to do for next year? And if you're Pop, man, it's going to be tough because the problem is that if you go with Trumbull or Camacho, you have Kairini at 133, you have Ryan Jack at 141, and then you have Arrington. I always forget which freshman wrestlers at which weight class, but you also have a really established freshman at 149. So it's like, if whichever one you don't pick, where are you going to put them or what's going to happen to them? More likely, I would guess they transfer if I had to guess, just because, unless they compete, which they can definitely go try and compete to win it back. But it's tough just because, again, Camacho is 2022 ACC champion, went 18-5 overall, 4-0 in the ACCs, NCAA qualifier. He also too was competing for the All-American status. And then you have Trumbull, who basically did the same thing this year, who won ACC champion, undefeated in the ACCs. Had a great NCAA tournament to lose to the guy that made it all the way to the NCAA championship match. So, for Nigel, tell me, what's Pop going to do here? Just playing simple.
That's why he's the genius, right?
That's a tough situation.
Yeah, and the easiest thing mentally to do is okay, we move everybody up, right? We move whoever wins the 25 wrestle off can stay there, and then starting at Kai, we move everyone up until we get to 74. Just fill that gap for Faison.
But you could, honestly, that's not a bad solution to say the least, and I think that I think it doesn't necessarily hurt anybody. It just changes up your matchups a little bit. But Sam Latona did it with Virginia Tech. He went up to 133. So why not?
Yeah, and I think Trumbull is like a natural 30, more of a naturally a 33 pounder. I think he wrestled 32 in high school. He's top 10 recruit at his weight too. But yeah. We're in year 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever with him. So he's a redshirt junior. So, and he, he has a 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
He's going into his senior year.
He's going into his senior year, and and he wins big matches. He placed 7th last year at the World Team Trials for U23, and so did Owen, by the way. So I think if we're going to mention now, we need to mention about Owen too. But he can win big matches. He proved it this year. He proved that he can win big matches. And again, he gets the popolizio system. My record might have been 20-40 going into my junior year, and then between my junior and senior year, I think I won 60 to 70 matches, something crazy. I think I ended my career with 90 wins. So being in the big choke artist though. But besides that, being in the popolizio system, that matters. He gets another year, and this year he was the guy, so he got a lot of that attention. And let's see what we can do with it in the summer. And it's an embarrassment of riches. It's not what makes a team better, right? How much better are we going to be when you don't know if you're going to be wrestling Camacho? You don't know if you're going to be wrestling Trumbull. They wrestle kind of different styles, and you got to get your guy ready to wrestle either one of those, and then they throw you a curveball. So it's I wouldn't expect. I truly, and I say this serious, not as a homer. I do not expect anyone to transfer. I think everyone's going to compete next year.
Yeah, well, and I think too, because the tough thing is that for Trombley too is that they're Trombley and Camacho are both going into their senior year next year.
Yeah.
So obviously you don't want to. So that's why I would get it. If whoever pot picks the other one transfers, just because of the fact it is your last year, so you don't. So not to necessarily throw in the towel, but you just don't want to, be so close but not quite beat the guy out, and then now you just, completed your last year in college wrestling on the bench. So I hear what you're saying, but also too, I mean, I am saying that, I mean, if I were Trombley, if I were Camacho, and this other guy beat me, it's a huge gamble that, okay, if I stick around and I compete, but if I don't get the job back, then then it's I'm kind of I'm a former ACC champion who went 4-0 in the ACCs, who was competing for All American status. That now is not going to go to, more likely go to NCAA's, not compete in the ACC tournament. Like, it's done. So yeah, I mean, does that make sense, Nigel?
I got to disagree
Really?
a little tiny bit,
Tell me. Tell me.
where they wouldn't think that. They
You
both
really
think they
think
can.
so?
I think they think they both can win. I think
Yeah.
I think all three. I think the four. We're literally looking. We really got to concentrate on the four weights. 25
Okay.
or three weights. 25, 33, and 41.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Hmm.
a lot of movement between those three guys. Who's going to win what weight class and who's going to bump, who's going to do what. Right? I think like if they didn't think they could win, he wouldn't have been an ACC champ. Right?
True. Yeah.
Like
No, and I'm not saying that
that extends
that.
to Kai. That extends to Kai too. Like if I'm either three of those guys, like for me, I was always a threat to get replaced, and my mentality was bring him in. Let's see what happens. I dare you to. Like we'll
I like
find
it.
out. Yeah,
I like
like
it.
we'll find out. It's a long season.
Yeah.
You can beat me the first week. It's gonna be hard to beat me the second. You can beat me the second. It's gonna be even harder to beat me the third week. Right? I'm gonna make it.
I
I'm
like
gonna
it.
make it. Yeah, I'm gonna make it a tough decision every single
Hey,
time.
listen. I'm saying this here, saying, dude, if whether it's Charmley or Camacho, if that were, whoever loses out, if that were to happen, and they stayed the whole time, competed, maybe started a couple matches, here and there to try and compete and get to that ACC, championship spot or NCAA spot. Hey, all the respect in the world to you, and I think that would say a lot about, just like you said, that person's character, but also to the program that Popolizio has built 100%. So,
Yeah.
but if it doesn't, I mean, I understand, that side of it too. Honestly, that's what I would expect. But so I'm saying here, hey, I'm up for seeing it. Let's put it that way. And if that does happen, then I'm going to give all the praise in the world, 100%. So, now I do want to jump to kind of one of those guys that you had mentioned in Ryan Jack at the 141, who to me had the most disappointing NCAA tournament in my eyes, just because I had such high expectations for Ryan Jack. I mean, being a sophomore, being that he had such a great freshman year last year, an impressive year, and then this year overall, I mean, he looked great. I mean, he went into the tournament being a 5 seed, but then starting out first match against Saul Irvin from SIUE. He beat him 3-2. So being a 5 seed versus 28 seed, it's like, would have liked to seen a little bit more than a 3-2 decision. But hey, a win's a win. Survive in advance. I'm not going to complain about too much. But then to lose to the 12 seed Parker Phileas from Purdue 7-6, and then he goes to the consolations uh, and loses. I'm trying to find him on the bracket, but loses first match. And okay, here it is. Shannon Hines, Shannon Hyena, or no, Malik Hines from Lehigh. Malik Hines from Lehigh, losing 18-6. Like, ooh, like that's not what we wanted to see whatsoever. I mean, to only get a one decision point out of the whole tournament from Ryan Jack's side. I mean, to me, I mean, if you're Kairini or if you're a Camacho or Trumbull, you're looking at that going, hey, there's an opportunity. Even though this guy was a 5C, even though this guy, is the younger brother of, former All-American Kevin Jack, even though, this guy, can still be a great, great wrestler competing for All-American national championship status. Hey, there's a kink in the armor, not necessarily. I'm not saying there's like, I'm doubting Ryan Jack, but I'm just saying that, like, didn't look very strong. And obviously, if you're Pat Popolizio, you're kind of, I'm sure, looking at Ryan going, hey, we can't have that. We got to improve. Again, if we want to compete, for a top 5 team point status, we got to have guys that are winning more than just one decision match. We need you to be, competing for that top 16, top 8. So, would you kind of agree with my synopsis there, Nigel? Or, would you have a different approach? Which, by all means, if you do, I'm all here for it.
I think I think like Jack is another guy you could probably build your team around, to be honest. And I think, um, yeah, like as much as we're disappointed in his performance, he's probably super disappointed in his performance.
A
And I,
thousand percent.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and he's another guy. He's another guy. Like I think he was like number 5 in his weight coming out of high school. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so and his brother, he's been around his brother for so long. He knows, he knows what it takes to be a champion and everything like
Yep.
that. But
Yep.
like he said, like over like if you look at his performance within the grasp of our overall performance, right? If he wins 2 matches, we go. I think we move up to in the top 6, right? I feel like it was that close, right? With
Yeah.
advancement points and everything.
Yep.
Um, so like again, you bring some competition in, and there's guys like you said that are going to be chomping at the bits, and then let's see. I'm gonna always Pat's 100% going to put the best guy out there every single time. I don't
Mm-hmm.
and this is a young team. This is a
Yep.
young team. I think he's a true. Well, no one's a true anything anymore. But I think he's
A
technically. I think
sophomore.
he'll be a sophomore, and he started every year. He started every
Mm-hmm.
year. So
Yep.
he also has a redshirt year too. But I
True.
think like he's in the mix.
Yeah.
He lost to Adam or I wrestled with Cole Matthews' brother. Cole Matthews' brother wrestled at NC State for a little bit too. But
Yeah.
um so he wrestled him 3-2, right? And then had another close match with him in the ACC finals, and he was a top 3 guy, top 5 guy. So I mean, for him, we got to find a little bit in our bigger matches because he is very consistent. In our bigger
Mm-hmm.
matches, we need to find some consistency. But if I'm Pat, the same thing. My challenge to him is the same as the Ed Scott. We need you to be a bonus points guy. And
Yeah.
once you start getting that confidence of like going into a match, like I'm going to beat this guy. I need to beat this guy by 8 points. And then you only major decision him, like it's survive in advance at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like we want as much team points as we can get. But he's another guy that like once Trent moves on, and Trent's gonna stay there because he's got Olympic aspirations. But once he
Yeah.
moves on from the day to day, like guys like Ryan Jack and Ed Scott and Trumbull are gonna be the leaders of the team. And I think
Right.
we can be disappointed with him, but I think his like his I don't know how to say it. His light is really bright.
Yeah.
His
No,
future, yeah,
100%.
his
And
future's
again,
really bright.
I'm everything I've been saying so far has been 100% out of support and love for
No, no,
him
no,
and
no,
what he's
no,
been
no,
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, no. And I'm making it clear for any viewers, be like, man, like this Lincoln's being really tough on Ryan
No,
Jack. I'm
no,
like,
you're actually,
hey,
yeah.
listen, I'm doing this because again, everything I'm saying is because they have those aspirations and then some. I'm giving Pat a hard time about the team's performance because he has the goal of winning a national championship on team level. I'm giving Ryan Jack a hard time because I know because of his brother specifically, he has aspirations to even go further than his brother does because that's just brotherly, competition. It is what it is. So so yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I mean, again, the potential is 100% there. I mean, coming out his freshman year and should have defensive pinfalled the wrestler from Iowa that was a senior,
Max
6-year
Mara.
senior that was a national championship contender. I mean, to come out and do that, like you got to always look back in that. I mean, if you ever have any doubt of how good this guy is, all you have to do is just look at that moment and be like, that should have happened, and that would have blown the roof off of the national wrestling world for sure. Um, Now moving on to a guy which honestly, man, this is definitely another guy which I think you can definitely build your program around in Jackson Arrington. Like I think he did everything that we needed him to do and then some, to say the least. Obviously, starting off as a 16 seed, facing the number 17 seed, Kenner from Rider University, if I'm not mistaken, uh, beating him in overtime 5-3. And then he goes on and faces Yanni from Cornell. And it's like, yep. I mean, if he pull it off, then that would have been the Spencer Lee Ramos moment. It would have been the biggest upset in all of NCAA wrestling if Arrington could have pulled that off. But obviously it didn't happen. It got pinfalled. But, again, a senior guy who was a multinational champion that went in as a senior, you knew Arrington was going to have a rough time. And it was rough. I mean, he got controlled but no shame whatsoever in that whatsoever. But then to go to the consolations and beat the number 18 seed Moore from Oklahoma. And then he goes on and beats
Victor
Voinovich from Oklahoma State.
Yep.
And then he goes on and has a great match against Mahler from Missouri. Only loses by a score of 4-3. Like, to me, I mean, job well done. Like, a round of applause. I mean, impressive to say the least. I mean, in agreement, I'm sure, Nigel.
Yeah. Kid was in high school last year.
That's crazy. Yeah, and now he's again literally in a Friday he beat two top 20 wrestlers in one morning stretch. I mean, that's impressive for any freshman to basically to lose to Yanni, which I'm to get pinfalled, but then to come back the next morning and beat a guy in top 20 and then take a break for an hour and then come back and beat another top 20 wrestler. That's tough to do. So hats off to him for sure. So now I want to move on. Kind of like we got to round this off with Trumbull and Hidlay here, and we'll kind of talk about Hidlay here at the end because that's definitely the biggest one I think in my head I want to talk about. But Trumbull, I think that in the tournament you kind of saw what Trumbull has been during his time in NC State, where he's either controlled the match or he's made one mistake where it ended up him getting pinned. And I think that's what you kind of saw where, because, even Rock Harrison said it himself that Trumbull's offense is very vanilla. It's not overly crazy in terms of, I mean, like if like he'll try and get you off your balance a little bit, but he's not going to do anything over the top. If an opportunity comes, he'll take advantage of it, but otherwise he's going to rely on his defense and he's going to rely on his riding. And I think that with the whole season and with the tournament, you saw that. But I mean, for me, Nigel, I feel like, again, Trumbull's a guy who came in with huge aspirations, pulled off some big upsets his freshman year. So to me, it's like, okay, now what's kind of next for him? I mean, he's an ACC champion, or sorry, no, he did he win it 2 years ago? I don't think he's won it yet, actually. But now that Nino Bonacorsi's gone, now you look at him as, okay, now you should be the favorite to win it, especially now that he got his revenge match against the guy from VT. So how do you kind of, if you're coaching Trumbull, if you're talking to him, how do you kind of get him to take that next step? And just like you said, be that bonus points guy, be that consistent guy every single match that we expect him to be.
Yeah, I think Trumbull is a little different of the cases because like he's in every match and there's like very small corrections that need to be made for him to be that much more greater. So I like this is going to be his third year. He split time, same thing. He split time his freshman year with Nicky Rennan. And then was the guy last year and he had a win, I think in his freshman year, right? He had a win over Nino. He beat him in the duel, 6-1. So he has it in him. He has it in him, and he's one of those guys that, like, it's a team sport. You never put a lot of pressure on one of those guys. But he's one of those guys that, like, if we want a team trophy, a top 3, top 4 finish, he's going to be one of the reasons why we get it. So I think his development is very important moving forward, and what his summer regimen workout is, and you definitely want to, like, the summer is great because you can focus on all 30 of the guys on your team instead of the 10 that are always wrestling. But I think you still need to be able to pull him and get him some extra reps because he's right there. He's so close. He's so close. He's so close. And wrestling's
Yeah.
a tough, hard sport, so it's always so you can't ever let it go one way or the other. But I'm telling you, he's right in the mix. He's right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's right there.
I
Before
just
we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
I just still remember. I think I was watching Hidlay's match or something like that, and then Hidlay loses, and then I go, all right, now let me turn to Trumbull's match. I'm looking, I'm like, wait, where's Trumbull? And then I see he got pinned. Like what? Like already? Like he's already done? Oh my gosh! So yeah, no, definitely was disappointed. He could do more, but yeah, I mean. And again, and that's kind of the beautiful thing is again, there's so many guys like, again, Ryan Jack, Trumbull, uh, Ed Scott maybe, like, and then if we would have gotten our other freshman in at 165, like those couple of things, if we could have gotten a little bit more in those areas, then you're
Yeah.
easily talking about top 6. I mean, there was only 10 points difference between where we were and the 6th place team in Michigan. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and if any of those 3 things would have just gotten a little bit better, it would have been a huge game changer. So, yeah, no, not going to say too much more besides just, I mean, Trumbull was a 6th seed. He had a great season. And I think, first of all, I've got to give a hats off to Nino Bonacorsi. I'm a huge fan of that guy for being
He's
an NC
cool.
State, a diehard NC State fan myself. And like any day I would wish more than anything that the opponent lose over us. I can't help but like, even when Nino, won it all, I couldn't help but tell Nino, hey, great job. Congratulations. I mean,
Yeah.
what an outstanding sportsman for sure. And, could not be more happy for him.
Yeah. I think the team that resembles like, and I hate rooting for other ACC teams when I don't have to, but I think the team that kind of looks like us the most is probably Pitt. Like how they
Mm-hmm.
wrestle, how they represent themselves. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I don't love like Nino is just one thing that stood out to me the biggest about Nino, or this is not a Nino podcast, so we're not going to talk about him that much, but like when him and Isaac wrestled and there was that funky looking slam and he is never on Twitter and he gets on Twitter and he says, I love wrestling Isaac. He did not do that on purpose. The guy's a competitor. Like we talked, we shook up. I love wrestling him. I just want y'all to know that like he did nothing wrong. We were just wrestling. I was like, whoa, if that was me, I'm getting ready to take out everybody. He's just a cool
Yeah.
guy. He's just a cool
Yeah.
guy. He's just a cool guy. That's the only way to put it.
Now the only thing, which again we'll spend like 10 seconds on this because we spent a good time on it during the NCAA preview with Mock, but basically Mock's words was it was almost a no-win situation for Trumbull in that situation. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because I would have probably done the same. Not like, not on purpose, not on
Yeah.
purpose, not on
Yeah.
purpose. But I want to like, I'm gonna push everything that I can. And I don't think it was dirty. It definitely looked dirty. It wasn't dirty, but like, I'm going to do everything I can to win. I'm going to do everything I can to win. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna hurt a guy, but I want him to like after they get win or lose. Like even when I do judo now, win or lose, like I want you to come off the mat and say, I never want to see that guy again. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's like a part of that's like the way Trumbull wrestles, how tough he is on top and everything. That's just a
Yeah.
part of his style. And I
Yeah.
don't think anyone thinks he's like in no context that looked dirty. Absolutely. With the context, you watched the entire match, you watched the situation. It was in overtime. You're like, oh, he was literally trying to score.
Well, and because basically what Mock said is that basically Nino was in a good offensive opportunity, situation right there. And so basically Trumbull either could do that to basically to end up basically to get back to a neutral situation, or he
Give
basically
up the
lets
takedown.
Nino work his way around until he gets the takedown. Like, it's like, what do you want him to do? Either lose or slam the guy. Like, he has no choice. So, now again, now the slam that we're talking about, Nino's head was, 6 inches to a foot off the ground. So, I mean, obviously it's not like Trumbull had him above his head and was like, all right, should I slam him or lose the match? It's like, no, that's not the situation. We're talking about, we're talking in Trumbull's head. He wasn't like, he was thinking like, this guy's not about to get his career ended if I'm about to slam him about 6 inches. So yeah, no. Now kind of wrap this up. My guy, Trent Hidlay.
We haven't talked about Kai.
Well, yeah, no. Kai. Okay. So let's talk about Kai. Kai, dude. I love Kai. I think he has taken that step that I think we want Ryan Jackson Arrington. We want them, Ed Scott. We want them to take, which is Kai has become that bonus points guy. And I think if I'm giving my award for wrestler of the year, I'm giving it to Kai just because of how far he has come. He has come from being a middle tier 15 to 20 wrestler to, man, there's nobody from top to bottom that wants to face this guy. Nobody. Like not consistently. So,
Yeah.
Anything to build off of that, really, Nigel? For me, Kai is pretty plain simple. Hats off to him, man. Amazing year.
Amazing. And no, I wouldn't say like personally, I like in my head canon, I'd stop short of saying it was a surprise because he showed like it's the way he wrestles, man. Like it's tenacious. He's tough. He doesn't give up any silly takedowns. He scores silly takedowns. He's tough in every position. He doesn't give anything up, and he fights. He fights. And when you do that every single match, you're gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna I won't call it lucky, but you're gonna win matches that like positionally you weren't supposed to win. And he did that all season. His confidence is gonna go through the roof. And a confident Kai, we saw that at ACCs when he hit that I call it Gator Bacon, but he hit that cement mixer against,
cement
and I was
mixer.
Yeah, dude.
Cement mixer.
Yeah, like that. If we could pick one moment just to describe a kid,
all time,
that's his, and that's how he wrestles. And I think I was sitting right next to Tommy, and I told her, I looked to the right, and I said, dog, that took a lot of cojones to do something like that in overtime. If you missed, you're on the edge, and he's on top of you, and you don't have a lot of room to where you're not necessarily fleeing the mat. It's just man, like you said, I could talk about Kai's one of those guys you said, what can you say?
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Yeah. Speechless.
Yeah,
Yeah,
speechless. No. Awesome.
Again, I don't know if you're Pat Popolizio, if you're NC State Wrestling Media, I don't know how you don't take that 15 seconds of from Kai getting him into the position for the cement mixer and through the celebration, through Kai throwing Popolizio his headgear. Those 15 seconds should live in NC State wrestling history forever. Simple as that.
Dude.
That was that big of a moment. And
especially
because of the fact that he just beat Filippelli 2 weeks ago, in the NC State pit duel. So to beat him twice within basically 3 weeks, that's impressive, to say the least, for sure, especially in overtime. So
yeah,
that was
Philippi, I love Philippi, and I know I hate that we're talking about pit guys, but he's another guy. He's a 6-time blood round guy, and that absolutely breaks my heart for him. Probably he's that puts him in the pantheon of potential best wrestlers to never break
national
through.
championship
Or All American.
So wait, he's gotten to the blood rounds, but he's never actually gotten
I think
status?
6. Yeah, I think that was the 6th time getting to the blood round.
And he didn't win. Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, that's a different level. Yeah. No, to get to the blood round 6 times and not get All American. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, that's a crazy one. All right, now my boy Trent Hidlay, baby. So man, Mr. Razor Roof, Mr. Air Guitar himself. First of all, we could talk about his tweet where he basically, I think it was almost kind of like I'm not thrilled with. I'm happy with what I've done so far, but I'm not thrilled with what I've done so far. It's almost how I read the tweet, but almost like this next year is going to be that year. That's pretty much what I got from it, and because I honestly felt bad for him in the fact that he faced Aaron Brooks, who, I mean, he's lost to a couple times now. And so it really kind of built up to be like this revenge match that, okay, like, this is going to be the time where finally Trent Hidlay breaks through, gets that upside win over Aaron Brooks, and goes to the national championship match and gets it done. And obviously Aaron Brooks ends up going on and winning the national championship. But also too, that match against Brooks, to me, Brooks pretty much controlled that match the whole time. Like it for the most part. I mean, Brooks had that thing in control the whole time. So, to me, the only thing which definitely worries me of a sort is that now you're looking at next year as like, okay, between Trent and Hayden, the fact that neither of them won a national championship yet, it needs to be the year. It needs to be the year. And because the scary thing too is that Aaron Brooks is a junior. So Trent is going to have to go through Aaron Brooks again next year. So, I'm sitting here going, Trent, listen, I believe all in the world in you. Like, you've done it again. To me, I feel like that he's like the guy that's like gotten like frozen underneath, like, a frozen lake where he's like pushing at the top, like he's at the top and all he's do is just break through the ice a little bit. And then he's there, and he's been there for a couple of years now, but now he's just got to break through that just one time, break through. And it has to be next year for Hayden and Trent. It has to be next year.
I would say, like, I'm gonna agree with that. Because if it's not next year, then he doesn't win it, so he doesn't have any more time left.
Right,
But
exactly.
I think, man, his impact on the program
100%
outweigh, and I don't want to, no consolation prizes, no feel good stories, none of that.
Yeah.
That's all baloney to me. But his what he like, the guy's a leader, and
he's
the
spectacular.
team when we're good and we're winning, we look like Trent. Like, someone comes off the mat, like they want to raise the roof. It's like Kai does the tongue thing. Ed Scott does like the jumping up and down, breaking the wood thing. Like, everyone kind of has that, and that kind of started with Trent. And this team has so much juice. This team has so much, like, I won't call it swag, but like they have an aura about them, and it all comes from Trent. And I think, like, right, he's disappointed. And we all are, because we want to see him win. We want to see him win more, like more than any guy, like up there with Hayden. We want to see, and we know he can win. And Hayden got some terrible calls going into that. You look back at that Nolf match, and you look back at, I think, two Nolf matches in a row where he just kind of ran into a historic guy. But that doesn't really matter. But I like, you can set your clock to Trent being the guy next year, and he's never gonna let you down. He never loses matches that, like him and Bolin. When Bolin lost in the blood round, I texted my friend and I said, I hope I never have to see another Bolin versus Bolin versus Trent ever again.
Yeah.
I was like, I hope we never have to see that ever again. But if I could go back and mimic and look like someone, and model my career, how I carried myself, how I treated my teammates, I would try to do it how Trent did it. And that's him and Kai. We're gonna be talking about Kai like this within the next couple of years. I think we're gonna be talking about Ed Scott and Jack the same way. But Trent came as soon as he showed up on campus and he redshirted. Him and his brother. So we're disappointed that he didn't win it, but I'm not disappointed in what he looks like when he wrestles in the singlet. Like, he's just a cool guy.
And I didn't even want to interrupt you because I knew where you're going, and I was like, I just want you to, I want that quote, so because I basically I'm going to clip that and put it out there and being like this is how much Trent means to this program. This is how much Hayden means to this program. This is how much the Hidlay brothers mean to this program. But and I want to make it very clear, saying, like, if he doesn't win it next year, I'm not going to be upset in terms of mad. I'm going to be upset as God, there's he deserves it. Not only he, but again, the Hidlays deserve it. That family deserves to have a national championship trophy in their house on their mantle. Simple as that. Between Hayden getting to the finals 2 times, And then Trent basically, I mean, you could almost basically say getting to the finals. I mean, again, he's
He
gotten to
did
the semifinals twice. He did once his
his
freshman year,
soph
Trent.
his sophomore year.
Okay, yeah. But then last year, he was dealing with some cold or flu issues, whatever it was, which definitely didn't help. But hey, the beautiful thing, which I will say, is it sets up beautifully with the fact that Aaron Brooks from Penn State's coming back. Parker, I'm not even going to try and say his last name, from Northern Iowa, the guy that pinned Trent at the beginning of the year. He's a
Hilshkin.
sophomore. What is it?
Kickenstein.
Kekisign, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a sophomore, so he's going to be back next year.
Yeah.
So, and then most of the people below him are most people below them are seniors. So you're really, if you're looking at 184 for next year, you're looking at those three guys alone. Like, it's going to be like, unless the world is shocked, it's going to be one of those three guys. So it's a beautiful story in the fact that, Trent's gotten beat again. He got pinned by Parker earlier this year. And then with Aaron Brooks, it's for the last couple of years, Trent just hasn't been able to get by Aaron Brooks. But now leading into next year, hey, it sets up beautifully. So I'm excited for it. So y'all, I mean, the biggest thing which I'll say is, again, NC State wrestling 2023, 2024 is going to be one to watch. I cannot say enough that whenever season tickets become available, it's only it's like maybe 50, $60 maybe for all the home matches. So make sure to go and jump on those early, y'all, again, and be there. Again, if you can donate any money whatsoever towards the program, it'd be much, much appreciated, y'all. But next year is going to be one to watch. It's going to be a fun one. We're definitely going to be super stoked for it. I know we've had my boy Nigel here. We've had Tommy, Mike, all of us. We're going to get back together here, pretty soon, definitely before the year starts. As we're going to be, our juice is going to be flowing for next year. It's going to be a fun one to watch. But Nigel, any final last comments here about the season, or getting ready for next season before we wrap this thing up?
Hey, go Pack, baby! I'm
Go Pack,
excited.
baby.
I'm
Yeah,
excited. I'm excited for
yeah,
next year.
100%. So, and also, I do want to say thank you, Nigel, as well. I really appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on. Always love your insight from a wrestling perspective, man. It's always great.
Yeah, hopefully I can get in a little more. Totally my
Yeah,
fault. A couple of times I missed a couple, but I
all
love
good.
doing this and I love representing the program like this. So whatever I can
Love
do.
it, man. Well, again, y'all, if you haven't already, once again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new Tuffy Talk NC State content. We got some exciting episodes planned coming up to you next. And then also, too, if you love NC State wrestling, please hit that like button. And also, too, if you wouldn't mind, in the comments as well, let us know your predictions for next year. What's your bar for next year of that? If they do better than this, then I'm really happy. But if they do less than this, it leaves me a little bit disappointed. Let us know in the comments what that bar is for you. And with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We will see you all for next time. As always, go Pack, y'all.